Welcome to the first podcast. This is episode 5 of interviewing female Ivy League. Today, our guest is Harvard sophomore track and field star Cynthia Griffith. Thank you so much for joining us.
First of all, I just want to say I love your name. It's so beautiful. Like I've never heard of your anyone with that name. I think it's so beautiful. I think it's so suiting for a beautiful woman. Our first question is, do you find it difficult to balance between track and school? Because you attend a very prestigious school, Harvard. That's crazy. So, is there like any difficulties to manage balancing track and school?
Definitely last year on campus, it was really hard. One thing that I was not used to was the amount of work. A lot of the work here is just busy work, and it doesn't seem like it has a big point to it. So it's hard to kind of get on top of that and make sure you're doing your work and also getting down to the track and like getting my workouts done. But it's definitely better this year, and I've definitely found a better balance. But yeah, at first it's hard.
Wonderful. So, uh, speaking about balance, is it also hard to balance your social life with your academic life? Going out with friends, like still managing between your friendships slash relationships and school at the same time. Is that difficult for you as well?
Yeah, I'd say it's a little difficult. Thankfully though, like a lot of the academics here tie into your social life. Just because of the school, it's just a really big thing. So a lot of the people that you hang around just tend to get it, and it gets easier as time goes on to be able to find that time to still like make time for friendships and relationships and whatnot. But as of right now, I feel fairly content with where I am with my relationships and friendships and how much time I'm able to spend with everyone.
That's great. It's all working out. Um, our third question is, have you always had like attending like Harvard envisioned for you? Always.
No, this was actually like a junior and a senior year thing. So I didn't envision myself being here. Before my junior year, I thought I was gonna go down south to a bigger D1 track college. Um, but the main reason I'm here is this team that I'm in currently for track is like my family. Like I feel so loved here and I feel so supported. Um, and the community is just amazing, even though there's such a stigma around a lot of people who attend Ivies as being rude and very prissy. You don't find a lot of that here, and you find people that just really care about you. So this definitely was not in the cards, but I'm glad that I'm here.
Well, since you did say no at first, like, were there any other schools? Like, you said you wanted to pick like top track school. What other schools like did you want to choose between?
So I was originally thinking UCLA and Florida, like any school in Florida, only because the weather on the East Coast is really bad and it's really hard to train outside in the winter when it's snowing and you have to kind of like jump into sand. Like it just doesn't work out. Um so I was hoping just to go somewhere down south. Um yeah, it's work.
Yeah, that's
Polar.
okay. What is the best part of what is
Could
the
you repeat
best
that?
part of attending Harvard?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that I've met some of my closest friends that I think I'll really ever meet. I feel like originally when I came here, I thought I was very different than a lot of the people that are here. But you start to realize that you're more similar in a lot of ways than you not being similar. And a lot of my closest friends are like my ride or dies. Like, I don't think I'd be able to go a day without seeing some of them. And I think that's the best part is like the friendships that you make are just, it's just so much, it's just worth so much to me. Yeah.
The next question is as an Ivy League student, as someone who does attend Harvard, like what advice do you give to kids, like students who want to apply to Harvard, who want to get into Harvard?
Oh, that's a good one. Oh my gosh. I think that it's better to be well-rounded than just to focus on your grades. I know grades mean a lot, um, to a lot of younger people. Even now myself, like grades mean so much to me. But realistically, like when you're 30 and you're working your hopefully dream job, like you're really not gonna think back on, oh my gosh, like that high school chem test was horrible. Like it's not gonna be a thing. Like focus on doing community work or focus on having relationships with people and expand your horizon. It's not that the Ivy is looking for people who just have good grades, but they're also looking for someone who's very well rounded and supports their community and others and themselves.
When did you discover your love for track and how long have you been doing it for?
The first time I realized that I liked track, I was actually talking about this today with my track coach. So I was always an athlete. My parents always put me in sports. I tried soccer and softball and basketball, and I only liked the running. I didn't like anything else. And during elementary school, my school had like this field day kind of thing. And I ended up running a 200 and I got like the school record and I was super proud of myself. And my high school PE teacher was like, you know, maybe you should try track. I think that might suit you. And that was in the fourth grade and I've been doing it since. So it's been a long time coming. So it's oh my gosh, it's been over 8 years, 8 or 9 years that I've been. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. This one is like, how was like the college process for you? Like, how was like the college process for you? Like applying. How was like, and also like, how was the switch between high school to college like for you?
Yeah. So the application process was definitely a doozy, as it is for any other school you're going to apply to. It's just so much paperwork and so much writing. And if you're not a fan of writing, it just sucks. Um, but it wasn't that bad, if I'm being completely honest. Being an athlete, I kind of had a different path that I took for admissions. So my coach backed my support for getting into the school. So my admission process was different because of how they viewed my entry. But yeah, but the transition from high school to college was really different. I went to a small-ish, predominantly white high school, and coming here to a place that's definitely more like ethnically diverse, it was a little bit of a culture shock, to like actually like be in class with a lot of other people who weren't white men into science, but more of like strong, beautiful, powerful women who really admire doing physics or chemistry or computer science. Like it was really shocking to me. Um,
That is great. Speaking of your major, as a woman in STEM, have there been any challenges in like sexism and maybe even racism?
yeah, so I actually haven't experienced much of that here. I think that a lot of the people that we do have here, it's just a very diverse program because this is a big pre-med school and a big econ school. So you see a lot of people very into pre-med and econ, other sciences. So I haven't experienced anything I'd say out of the ordinary or that's really rubbed me the wrong way, but I know other people here have experienced some of those things. So I don't think I can really speak on it too much because it wouldn't be my personal experience, but as of right now, I think that the teaching staff and all of my classmates have been really supportive of everything that I've been doing.
Okay. What is the main like drive behind your like ambition? Like what keeps you motivated on like days like where you don't want to show up? Because we all have our days where it's like, you don't want to do anything. So like what keeps you like going during these times?
Yes. So a big thing for me is I knew that I wanted to be a veterinarian since I was young, and that's been one of the main things that's been keeping me going through the harder times where I'm like, I just want to give up. Um, because of all the experiences I've had, and I'm very lucky to have the experiences that I've had with a lot of different pets. And I just want to be able to be that person who can help someone else when they're in need, especially when it comes to something that they care about so much. And that's kind of getting me through like all the midterms and finals right now when I just kind of want to like give up and be like, I don't want to do it. So I just want to make sure like I'm able to have a future where I can help someone and hopefully give them a good outcome
What
for what's going
values
to happen.
are important to you as a student, an athlete, and overall person?
Um, I kind of think that if I had to give you a list, I'd say honesty. I really appreciate when people are honest and upfront with me and not kind of just rushing by topics or not being like very upfront. And I really appreciate when people try to extend their kindness to people who may not be as fortunate. In the square, actually, here we have a bigger homeless population, and it's always nice to go around and do like random acts of kindness. So I always appreciate when I see people like doing that and helping people out, but definitely honesty and kindness are like my two big things.
As a female athlete, how do you respond to or cope with misogyny in sports?
Thankfully, I actually haven't dealt with that too much here. I've dealt with a little bit of racism and misogyny back home when I was a high school athlete. Um, and the best advice that I could probably give is pay no mind to people who don't want to support you, because if they don't want to support you, they obviously don't have your best interest in mind. And it's not worth your time to sit there and dwell on it and think about it, because you're just wasting your energy and your time and your efforts into something that just doesn't matter. And you need to be your own biggest support system, which is really, really hard, especially when you may not believe in yourself that much, but there's always going to be a crowd of people who are supporting you, no matter if that's your parents or your siblings or your friends, but you just kind of have to push through it. Um, Unfortunately, because this world sometimes kind of sucks and people can suck, but you just have to like be your own person and support yourself.
In another interview, you were described as a mentor, like during your high school track season. Like, why is it important you personally, like, as athletes, like, support each other in women's sports, like, especially in women's sports?
Yeah. So when I joined my high school track team, I didn't feel like there was a big support system for a lot of the women on our team. And that was literally only like 6 years ago that I was on that team. Um, and I felt like there was just so much more that could be accomplished, especially with people who are feeling more timid and afraid and don't feel as comfortable. And I think it's important that everyone has someone who has a voice and can voice for them when they feel like they can't voice themselves. And that's always been a big thing of mine. I always want to be the person that you can come to if you ever have a problem or you ever need to talk about anything, because I know how it feels to be alone and I don't want anyone else to have to sit and dwell in feelings like that. So it's just very important to me that I'm a voice to people and that people, if they ever feel like they need
Where did
to,
you
can
get
rely on me
interest
for
in
anything.
studying biology and wanting to be a veterinarian stem from?
Yeah, I had a cat. His name was Griff. When I was in middle school, he was with me 24/7. Like I never went without him. And COVID happened, so I was at home 24/7 with this cat. We'd sit and I'd do homework together and he'd sit in my lap and he'd follow me around the house. He was like my best friend if I'm being completely honest, even though that's kind of like sad to admit because he was a cat, but he was amazing. And we found out he had diabetes. So I was always the one giving him insulin shots and I was checking his blood sugar, and I realized I just really like doing that and I really like being like able to help him, even though I wasn't doing that much, but just like kind of like giving him insulin, which he could honestly live without, but it just made me feel like I was doing something important. So I owe a lot of my love for veterinary science to my.
In an interview during your junior year, you mentioned wanting to go to the Olympics one day. What is one part of that you're most looking forward to?
So the 2028 Summer Olympics is actually in LA. And I think it would be just an amazing experience, even if I didn't get to go and compete, just to be able to be in my home country and watch all of the amazing athletes compete and watch all of the competition brew up. It's been a thing that my dad and I have bonded over for the past couple of years since he's a very big track athlete himself and he loves watching the Olympics. So I think just going with family, even if I'm not competing, just to watch and embrace what's going on in the moment would just be amazing. Every time I think about it, I get so excited.
Okay. Do you okay. Now we can go to like a little like unrelated from like school and like like school track in general.
Mhm.
Besides like track or like academics, do you have anything like any hobbies you enjoy? Like what do you love to do like unrelated to track or like academics?
Yeah, I really like drawing. Um, I was actually planning on making a portfolio to submit to the college, and I was planning on doing a secondary in art. And that kind of fell through a little bit because of how much work that I had to get done with track and homework during high school, so that kind of sucks. But I still like to draw in my free time, and I like to paint. I'm a big reader. And I also do like to write up slam
Awesome.
poetry. That
What
is a big
genre of
hobby
books
and
is
passion
your
of mine.
favorite?
I'm a big romance person. Yep, I'm a really big romance person, but I also really do enjoy a good, like, mystery or thriller.
Um, what has been your most recent binge watch?
Oh my gosh. That would probably
What
have
team
to
are you
be
on?
The Vampire Diaries. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I kind of like Damon. I kind of like Damon. I feel like that might be a hot take, but
Do you have
I
any
like Damon.
pre-track meet like rituals or superstitions you participate in?
Um, I believe that old wives' tale, but I believe that bad things always happen in threes and sixes. So usually if I'm just having a bad day, I'll just tell myself that tomorrow's gonna be better. Because the three bad things might have just happened to me, and I'm like, that's like it's over, it's done. I think that's the only really big superstition that I really follow
Are
right
there
now,
any
but I
specific
wouldn't say I'm
causes or
too much
social
of a
issues you're
superstitious
passionate
person.
about?
As of right now, I'd say no. I've been trying to stay away from a lot of the media that's going on right now, because hearing about it makes me very upset. My father is an immigrant from Panama, and hearing a lot about what's happening with Cuba and a lot of the immigrants in the United States is a very emotional topic for me. So I have not been reading too much into the media to be able to talk about any sort of social issues
Are there any
right now that
specific
I'm
songs
passionate
or
about.
artists that lift up your mood or something like that?
Yeah, I am a big Mac Miller fan. There's a bunch of Mac Miller vinyls on my wall. And I really like Dominic Fike. Those are probably my two big artists right now. And my friend actually just introduced me to a bunch of other new songs from The Script and oh my gosh, who's the other artist? The Stokes. And right now those are probably also two
Do
big
you
ones.
have
But
any
yeah.
other things you'd like to share or ask?
Um, no, I don't really
I
think so. I don't really
noticed
think I
earlier
have
you
much
mentioned
else
your family
to
being
speak
a
about.
big part in your life. Are there any family members that, other than your dad, who's in that, that really supported you through your academics and athleticism?
Yes. So there's two big ones that, well, I let me say three big ones, but there's two big ones that immediately come to mind. My mother is a math teacher, and every summer like clockwork without fail, she would make me sit down bright and early in the morning at 9 a.m. and do math homework that she would grade, and she would make me read for an hour and a half every day before I was able to hang out with my friends, use my phone, do anything like that. And I hated it. I hated it so much. I didn't like that she made me do it, but I realized that she was just trying to like support me and help me be my best, I guess you could say. And ever since that point when I realized that, me and my mom have been super close, and she's genuinely my biggest cheerleader. Like I don't know where I would be without her today. She's an amazing woman, and she's done so much for me, and she sacrificed so much for not only myself but my sister. And then the second person would probably be my grandfather. He passed away 6 years ago, but he was an amazing person. He would keep all of my artwork, and he'd brag about me to his friends, and he'd come to all of my cello concerts. He was one of the biggest support systems in my life, and I don't think I'll be able to get something like that again, but just knowing that if he was still here, he'd I don't I think he would have exploded out
Do you
of
have a
joy for
favorite
being so
or
excited for me for
preferred
where I am.
medium in
So,
art?
yeah.
Other than
I That's a really good question. I used to be really big into gouache. Um, I am not anymore. I still have my whole gouache set, but right now I'm very big just into sketching with charcoal and a little bit of a hot take, I guess, in the art community, but I like using pen. Some people don't like it, but I enjoy sketching with pens, so
I was just gonna ask, like, when your like mom would make you do like the math like worksheets and like reading, do you prefer like in general, do you prefer reading or like math and stuff? Like, do you like to work with numbers or do you like to read better? Like ELAs?
that's a really good question. I think it's honestly changed throughout the years. So when I was younger, like I just hated math. Like it made no sense to me. Like I would struggle so much with it. So reading was my go-to. I come from a really big family full of bookworms, and the whole we have a whole room dedicated to books in our house, and it's books and books and books. So I love reading. But now I feel like I'm definitely more of a numbers kind of person. It's hard to find time to sit down and do things that you like here with how much work and everything that's going on in campus. So it's just easier for me right now to deal with like the numbers with everything going on.
Can I ask you like, what does your like typical Saturday night look like? Maybe Friday night or Saturday night?
Yeah, sure. So usually those are the nights that I will try and like hang out with my friends. You'll actually find that there is quite a bit to do on campus, even though like there's this kind of stereotype going around. Obviously, Ivy Leagues, like we don't do that much, but there is a lot to do on campus. There's a lot of things to do with your friends. You can hang out with people, you can go to a party, you can go to a frat. But I just really like sitting down and doing homework. I'm kind of boring. I like to sit down with my friends and do homework. I find fun in that. Um, or sometimes like we might just like chill out and watch a movie. I know one of my best friends on campus really enjoys watching RuPaul's Drag Race, so sometimes I will sit down with him and watch that. Um, but those are just the nights that I like spend with people. Sometimes I'll be working. I work at a gym, actually. I work at Harvard Recreation, and sometimes I'll be working night shifts there, but on Friday and Saturday it's very rare for me.
Oh, I was also gonna ask you, where do you like, which state do you come from, or like where do you come from in general?
So I'm from New York, the Rochester, New
Really,
York
me
area.
too.
Wait, where?
I live in New York City, like I live.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm upstate. I'm upstate, I'm afraid. I'm not that cool. So I live by
Okay,
Rochester.
we'll consider New York.
Like literally like a 5-10 minute drive outside of Rochester in Webster.
It's like was the switch from New York to like Massachusetts, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
Was that like weird for you or no?
Um, a little bit, only because right now I'm a lot closer to the city than I originally was back home, but the weather's pretty much the same. The only thing that sent me into a shock was that it gets exponentially colder here because we're right next to the ocean. And back in New York, I'll get so much more snow than we do here, even though this winter we had two blizzards and it was horrible and cold and awful. But that's the only big thing that I've noticed that's really sent me into shock is I'm closer to the city and sometimes the weather is just like not fantastic.
Sorry. Uh, if that's all, thank you so much for joining us. It was wonderful talking to you. Um, I hope the rest of the school year goes well and exams and all. Yeah, thank you.